Hey guys, Buffing Game Bet today, bringing you a video. And today we're going over, finally, we have Realism Royale making its return to Call of Duty Warzone for the third time ever in what is going on 2 full years coming up here in March, so over a year and a half now it's been, and we've only had Realism Royale 3 total times. This is the final weekend we'll probably ever see this. I didn't think they'd ever bring this back, but they did. So we're going to go over why this is probably the best mode, in my opinion, in the game. One of the better ways to play Warzone, as well as just some tactics, things, the pros and cons of this mode, why some people really love it and why others don't like it. And again, footage you'll see in the background, just some random clips in the beginning. I'm going to show you one of the main builds here I'm going to be using for the gameplay. Very odd build you probably never see anybody use, especially in regular Warzone. And then we'll jump into, as I talk over this, we'll see a really good win. In the background that we got here in quad is Realism Royale with a random. We just carried a random to a win, which was pretty fun and interesting. So again, this mode has been around. This is the 3rd time ever, I think, in June of 2020, and then December or November of 2020. And then finally here in October of 2021, we're seeing this game. So first off, let's go ahead, jump out. Here we have an MCX build. This is going to be the main build you'll see me use here in this video as we get this win in the background. I'm running the Tempest Marksman barrel option. Obviously, we've seen this one, damage at range, bullet velocity, recoil control are the pros. Then we're going to run the tack laser for the aim down sight speed, aiming stability, aim walking steadiness. Going to run that integral hybrid or the Leopold hammer optic on this bad boy. 60 round magazine, and then the operator foregrip. I've been running this a lot on all my weapons. You get the recoil control, and the cons being the ADS speed, which we're making up for with that tack laser, that PEC 15. However, we don't have the same cons as we would have. We don't have the movement penalty like you have with the commando foregrip or the other ones. You get the movement speed penalty, so you can still move really fast with this operator foregrip. And the recoil control, I would say, is right on par up there with the other grips as well, especially the commando. So I think this is a really good option. This is the final build. Again, we're in realism, so we're not running a suppressor because you don't need to, because there's no minimap to give away your position, thus opening the variety. So jumping into this here, you just see the gameplay in the background. Again, just playing with some. We have one random here. It's Dill, myself, Justin, and then some random who we thought was a hacker at the start, but he didn't have a single kill, and I think he had like 200 damage, if that. So he definitely was not a hacker. But again, this mode came out finally for the 3rd and probably the final time we'll see this. Hopefully not the final time, but just when I was done with Warzone, or I thought I was done with Warzone, Raven goes ahead and puts this mode out, bringing me back. So I had to come back now that we have Insurgency out and Battlefield's coming out. I had to jump back in and at least play a little bit of realism because I've been begging for this mode for over a year, is what it seems like at this point. The last time we saw this, I want to say, was end of October, or maybe it was November of 2020. So it's been just about a full year since we've seen this mode. And this mode's a lot of fun, particularly for my main community here. We have a really great time playing this game. This is something we're always kind of, every time there's an update by Raven, we're begging for this game mode to come back into the game. And the pros and cons of this, I saw this mode was met with, I guess, some criticism from some members of the COD community, and I'm really not sure why. Probably because I think the main Rebirth Island playlist was taken out, as well as Iron Trials, replaced with Realism Quads. But Realism is a mode I think not a lot of people give this a chance. And it's one of those modes that if you take the time to actually play it, it feels a lot more fun than the base game mode, especially because the skill-based matchmaking seems to be much more lenient in this limited time mode, as well as all the other limited time modes. It seems that you have less skill-based matchmaking, and you just have a completely different audience playing Realism Royale as you would with the core Warzone experience or even Iron Trials. This is something I've covered in my previous Realism Royale videos, as we talked about the highlights and what's good about this game mode, as well as other times we were asking for this to come back. So some of the criticism I heard is that it's a dumb mode, it's full of bots, you can't even see what weapon someone's using if you're spectating them, there's no minimap, all that stuff. And those are really the only cons I've heard from the community, the COD community in general. I can't hear, there's nothing specific to pinpoint besides the fact that there's no minimap, can't see what weapon other people are using, and it's full of quote-unquote bots. So those are the only points that I could get out of members of the COD community. I asked, what don't you like about it? I'm expecting, some good back and forth, some feedback, and I have no points that anybody could make to point out what actual cons were besides those 3. So those are the 3 cons that we have. No minimap being one, full of bots, and you can't see what weapon other people are using. when you're spectating them. So those are the only cons apparently for this mode. However, I will add one more con, that being that it is full of hackers. I played 4 total games. 3 of those games we got killed by hard aimbot hackers who locked onto your head, because you do have double headshot damage in this mode. So it seems like because there's no skill-based matchmaking or whatever the case is, all the hackers are going to jump into this mode, at least this time around, just for that headshot damage. Although we were playing with some decently good players, so it may have just put us unluckily in those hacker games the first 3 games. However, the one game that we didn't get a hacker, which you're seeing here, is the game we ended up getting a win. So what are some pros about this mode? Now that we've gone over the cons that the COD community was able to articulate to me that they don't like about this mode and why it's a bad mode, which I don't really think are valid reasons, let's go over the pros of this game mode. So first up, there's no minimap. Now this is a big thing because typically on the minimap, obviously you're going to see unsuppressed fire. So you can't see unsuppressed fire. You also can't see vehicles on the minimap or the map in general. There's no vehicles on the map, as well as contracts. So no minimap, no vehicles are going to show up on the minimap or your main map. Neither are contracts. So you got to find those by yourself. You need to use your head, talk to your team, look at locations, communicate, say what you guys are seeing on the map, as well as vehicles. If somebody see a vehicle coming in, because it's not going to show up on the minimap to show you that somebody's pushing you with a vehicle. Now, there's also no HUD. So what does this mean? It means that you don't know how much ammo you have, you don't know how much money you have, as well as how many plates you have. As well as your plate is actually listed. You have these little thin blue lines in the bottom right next to your name, which is listed for you and your squad. But that's it. So if you want to check how many plates you have in reserve, how much money you have, how much ammo you have, you need to hold down on your D-pad or whatever it is on PC to see your inventory and see what you have total, which is a good thing. It makes you actually have to communicate with your team. Hey, I don't have any extra plates. I need more. You need to look for that instead of it having to been given to you there on the screen. So it creates an extra layer of vigilance within the game. Now, there's also increased headshot damage. Again, headshot damage is going to do extra, so it turns this into more of a hardcore type tactical shooter, in my opinion. You also have no hit markers and no hit marker sound effects, which is big. So you don't know if your shots are hitting. If you're holding full heavy auto fire at a distance, it's hard to tell if your shots are actually hitting because you're not getting that audio feedback, and you're also not getting the hit marker sound effect or the visual hit marker of those hits. Now, we already went over vehicles and contracts aren't showing on your map as well as the minimap because there is no minimap. Even when you do have a UAV, the only thing UAV will show vehicles coming in as well as it will show unsuppressed fire, but you need to have an active UAV to see that. Otherwise, the UAV or the minimap will be gone. Now, you also, outside of checking your inventory for money and ammo, you have no idea how many teams are left in the Battle Royale. So when you get down to that last couple circles, you have no idea how many teams are still alive, which makes you have to be, again, cautious, use communication with your team, and actually look around. You can't be rushing around, bunny hopping, doing 360, MP7, super double backflips with your MAC-10, things like that. You have to play slowly and, again, use teamwork and communication if you're going to get these wins. So, not camping, but play tactically, which is what, in my opinion, is kind of what Infinity Ward really wanted for this mode in the first place when they had the minimap disabled in the alphas and the early betas. Now, this, again, most enjoyable mode. Now, because there's no minimap outside of a UAV, that means you don't need to run suppressors because that unsuppressed fire is not going to show up on your minimap unless, like I said, you had a UAV. So what does this do? You don't need to run the suppressors. You see the build I'm running here in this gameplay with the MCX build or the M13. I don't have a suppressor on this. I took what is a really good M13 build that I really enjoy using, and I fixed the only con with it, and that really is the movement speed I put on the operator foregrip, as well as the ADS speed. When we have this big, bulky M13 with the 60-round casket mag of the 5.56x45 NATO, the ADS speed is very slow as well as the movement speed. So by running the operator foregrip and the PEC-15 or that tac laser, we've increased our movement speed, and we've also increased our ADS speed and added a bunch of pros there with that tac laser, which you typically wouldn't do in regular Battle Royale or even Iron Trust because you need to run a monolithic or even an agency suppressor based on whether you're using Modern Warfare or colder weapons. That's a must. And so what this does is that it increases, again, it kind of erases the meta because you can really use whatever you want in this case, and it opens up the variety in that mode as well. I didn't run into anybody with a Krig or any really Cold War weapons while playing this. I did see a lot of Modern Warfare weapons, and again, you don't need to be unsuppressed. So this opens up the meta as well as it increases the weapon variety that you're going to be using here in this game. You can really use anything you want without a suppressor and actually have fun. It allows you to experiment with these weapons. This is something that this game mode, Warzone in general, has suffered from after the first, I would say, month or two of release. Now you have a handful of weapons, everyone's running the same exact build, everyone's running a mono or an agency suppressor, and everyone's listening to what a select few content creators are telling everybody to use, which is fine. But what this does is narrow down the meta and erase variety. So Realism Royale, again, completely erases that. There's no meta, there's a huge increase of weapon variety. You can use whatever you want to get wins, and that's why this mode is a great mode. One of the best modes in my opinion. I think Realism Royale, as well as even the other limited time modes, should be around permanently. You may not like Realism Royale. I may be somebody that doesn't like another another limited time mode, but it's all subjective. I like what I like, you like what you like, so why wouldn't these modes be around permanently? I don't really know. Obviously, you don't want to split the player base too much, but something like Realism Royale to only come around 3 times since Warzone's ever come out, and it's been a full year since we've seen it. We've seen buyback modes, we've seen this new mode, Iron Trials, we've seen Rebirth Island introduced in the game consistently since Cold War launch. So the players that were originally, I guess, interested in Modern Warfare, who came over from games like Battlefield, things like that, when that was not doing well, the audience that Modern Warfare, the game, appealed to was that tactical shooter, boots on the ground, be more tactical. That's really what the marketing for Modern Warfare was, and they marketed originally the realism mode, as well as they had no mini-map when the game first launched for the alphas and the betas. And because the fan base threw a hissy fit, they had to throw in the minimap, and that turned this game that was supposed to be a slower-paced Call of Duty into a very fast-paced, try-hard sweatfest. If you remove the minimap and you play this in a realistic type environment, it doesn't necessarily need to be realism, but you remove the minimap, you have all these pros that you get out of this. A lot of benefits. It opens up the meta and increases the weapon variety tenfold. You can do and use whatever you want, how you want. I was also running a Mark 20 unsuppressed the other day. It was a lot of fun. You can play the game and actually have fun in this mode. So for those folks that kind of don't like this mode and make fun of those who actually play it, you know, I'm sorry, we all can't use 2 different weapons and snort G Fuel and try our butts off to be good at the game. But some of us enjoy actually having fun, and that's what this game mode's all about. It's about slower paced, tactical shooters. This is what that audience is on this mode. There's a huge audience that was left behind with the Cold War integration, and after Raven took over. And that's the core audience that enjoys playing these modes. That's the audience that's moved over to Sandstorm, and that's why I'm really kind of giving up on Warzone right now. And hopefully, if Realism Royale stays around, this is something I will definitely come back to Warzone to play. But if it's not, there's no need to play this game anymore. I have Sandstorm, I have Battlefield coming out, we have World War III on the horizon, I just played that Veteran Alpha test, and we have Hell Let Loose. So there's really no need to ever play Warzone again, unless they're actually going to let us play it how we want to play and have these limited time modes available more. The fact that it's been a full year since we've seen this mode is completely ridiculous. I'm glad it's back. I'm going to play it while I can, but Sandstorm's out. Battlefield beta's coming out this week. Little too late, in my opinion. However, if they keep this around, I will definitely have a reason to jump back into Warzone and actually have fun for once, because I haven't been able to have fun in this game in a very long time. And it was very refreshing to jump into this mode and play with my community and actually enjoy the game how we like to play it. This is what I built my community on, is this kind of mode, and it was a lot of fun. So let me know what you guys think of Realism Royale. Are you one of the people that hate it because it's full of bots and you can't see what weapon someone's using, or do you actually like it because you understand, you're a logical human and understand the benefits of this mode? And again, you don't need to like it. If you hate it, that's fine. There's other modes. This is all the reason why Raven should have a consistent rotation of these different limited time modes, or just have them all available so we can all play what we want and all get along. There's no need to argue about it. I think we can all have fun with our different modes, and hopefully this mode sticks around for longer, and we don't have to wait till March of 2025 to play this again. So let's see what happens. Let me know what you guys think down below. This is Buffering Gaming with Realism Royale. Until next time, Buffering Gaming out.